game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Happy Victory Tuesday here on the Buccateers podcast. We don't do Mondays, we do Tuesdays, but all the same stuff as we celebrate a victory, and we're onward and upward to Detroit. The Battle of Detroit, the revenge game, is coming soon enough as well. I call it a revenge game because, well, we took 2 L's to Detroit last year. One in the Creamsicles, one in the playoffs. So 2 very meaningful games. I'm Tampa Tones here. I think we do get some revenge this year. That's for dang sure. I'm not sure what's going on with J-Lo. He's like doubling or tripling in screen. And we also have the great Gene from Buck What You Heard on hand. We'll bring in him here shortly. J-Lo, you with us? You're like doing multipliers. You're doubling, you're tripling. Say hello if you could hear me.
Yo. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Gene, how the hell you doing, brother? Since you're ready to roll, we'll bring you in. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. I will be right back with you guys. Just 1 second. I've gotten set on my camera.
No worries. As G Vegas is with us in the chat saying nice, but it come at the cost of the secondary. We're not worried about it's not the time of year to start panicking and worrying about injuries yet. It's very early in the year. We'll get into that more so here in a bit too. But if you're going to get these injuries, it's better to get them now than later, so to speak. Obviously, you never want these injuries, but if you do get them, better now than later. MK in the house. MK says, Gene. We'll bring in Gene in a minute. He's hooking up to the camera. He's got a lot of thoughts on his mind as well. A lot of beer in the plate as well about the game. J-Lo, are you there with us? How the hell you doing, brother? We could hear you. Are you ready to roll finally? Are you like a running back about to hit the gut?
More like up the gut, man. I'm ready to watch some more Buccaneer football, man. What a game on Sunday, man. Gets me more excited with this offense.
We didn't hit the 30-point mark until week 9 last year. It took 9 weeks of the football season to reach 30 points last year, J-Lo. Pretty exciting. Here we do it game 1, and not only do it game 1, we clear that 30-point mark with ease.
Absolutely, and plus only punt the ball 1 time the whole game. That was really impressive. I'm very impressed with the Cohen offense, man. He's getting it going, and this is going to be something special this year on this offense.
Gene, I know you got a lot to say and dive into. Whenever you're ready, just let me know, and we'll bring you in here on.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. Camera's acting weird. So, this was a game. I was pleasantly surprised. I expected it to be. I didn't expect the offense to come out the way they did, but I'm like I said, pleasantly surprised with everything that happened. I thought it was a great game, very well. Offensively, very well called. Nice execution, and I had some really interesting thoughts on this. Basically, what I wanted to call this my highlights. Just kind of starting it out.
Because, hey, I love that highlights. Let's do it.
So basically, where I'm going to start out at, my highlights. Number 1 is Baker Mayfield, and I've been looking at Cleveland. And how Cleveland's been struggling. I've been looking at, the Rams, and I've been looking at the Carolina Panthers. All these places have one thing in common. Baker Mayfield was there at one point. And the fact that he ended up in Tampa and what he's been able to do in Tampa is just incredible. There are some really next level stats out there, but the one thing that sticks out to me, and folks, watch Baker Mayfield when he plays, he can read a defense. How long has it been? You take away Tom Brady. How long has it been since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had a quarterback that can read a defense?
Too long.
So my first highlight will be I will be talking about Baker Mayfield
Before Brady, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But
You kind of have to exclude Brady as the outlier because now you're hitching your wagons to Baker Mayfield. You look at some of the other things that some of the other quarterbacks that have come in, and they've never been on that level as far as reading a defense. So the one thing that stuck out to me, but 4 touchdowns, it's huge. That's one of the big highlights for me for Baker Mayfield. The next one, Mike Evans. Of course, Mike Evans, a future Hall of Famer. Got the gold jacket all stitched up. Now he's just putting the buttons on right now as he plays through the season, as he's continuing to rack up these yards and touchdowns. So, we're gonna be watching Mike Evans at some point as a Hall of Famer. You can take that to the bank. That's kind of where we're at. Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is going to be a problem for defensive coordinators, whoever we play. This guy is getting back. He's back to where he was before he was injured intentionally by the New Orleans Saints. And he'll be back. He's back, and he's really being utilized the way we wanted him to. We have an offensive coordinator that understands, hey, we can get him here and we can extend plays. And he's gone out and done what he needed to do. And last highlight, I was kind of 2, but first part, I'm going to go with Rachaad White. Rachaad White, 106 all-purpose yards. And that's huge because the man's speed and space is incredible, and we can see what a weapon he was for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we'll continue to see that. Again, defenses have to adjust for a running back who has nice hands, and he can extend plays and move the stick. So somebody you really have to watch out for. And on the flip side of that, Bucky Irving. What Bucky Irving has done, I included them together because I think they are a devastating combination, and I think we're going to see more of them as we go along. So these are my Cigar City highlights for this
crack
week.
them. I love that, Gene. We're going to make that a segment. Cigar City highlights with Gene. For those just tuning in right now, we're going to be going over a lot of good stuff today, but if you did miss that, make sure you rewind, make sure you go back later and miss it. Gene's highlights, some great stuff there from Gene from Buck What You Heard, and we are trying to get his camera, these technical beauties, these things happen. I have a new mic. My old mic crapped out on me, speaking of technical beauties, so just part of the game we play, man. That's how we roll here in the Bucs podcast world. But Gene, cheers to you, brother. I know I enjoyed a highlight after the Bucs victory on Sunday. I hope you did as well.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I have another thing to bring up, but we're going to get J-Lo's reactions to your highlights. J-Lo, thoughts on all of Gene's highlights? All good stuff right there. And I think this has the budding of a fun segment. And what else did you notice, J-Lo?
No, absolutely. I mean, Gene pretty much nailed it on the head with most of those players he named in his highlights. But I must also say Graham Barton, man, that dude was incredible. Dude looks really phenomenal. Looks like he's going to be an all-pro center in the future for sure. I mean, the way that line protected Baker. I mean, Baker had to run out of the pocket a couple times, but at the end of the day, I mean, this line's going to look really, really good as they start, pretty much going through the season as a group. Hopefully everybody stays healthy for the most part. But I will say Bucky Irving's really exciting. I'm really excited to see him carry the ball up the gut more. I know some fans were giving Rachaad a hard time. Not too much of a hard time, but, they were really into Bucky Irving more running the ball. But it's only week 1, and I think we got a great 1-2 punch in our backfield.
Yeah, I think we got an incredible 1-2 punch as well. And I wanted to bring that up too. The backup running back, Bucky Irving, he played a hell of a game. He played a great game, but the backup running back is a position that's very, how should I put it? It's nice when you're in the backup, but then, some of the crowd clamors for you. Some of the crowd tries to get after you to become the starter, and it just, be careful what you wish for. I like this 2-back system with Rachaad White leading the way. Not saying a lot of fans are calling for Bucky Irving to start, but, you always get that chirp in J-Lo. It was the same when Rashad White was the backup to Lunny F. It was the same when Lunny F was the backup to Rojo. It just seems like the backup running back's always getting clamored for. But in reality, they're probably effective as a backup because of their limited touches, because of their freshness, because of the holes the offensive line create. J-Lo, I don't know about you, but I like this Bucs tandem of running backs right where it is as we speak on this given time. I wouldn't change it up. I'd continue to give Rashad White every 2 drives for Bucky Irving's every 1 drive. So in thirds, Rashad gets 2/3, Bucky gets a third. I'm very cool with that. And then, by the way, you spell Sean Tucker here and there when needed.
No, absolutely. We got a great group of running backs. I think probably the best group we've had in a long time. I think probably goes back to like 2020 will be my best guess as far as that goes. Running back group. These 3 are very special, and Rashad, gets a little break here and there, so you don't have to do it all, which he did last year. So having Bucky Irving and Tucker are a plus, and plus Liam Cohen, man. I mean, he's putting together a good offense in general, and I do want to add that Rashad White in the open field, man, catching that ball, he could be a burner too. So don't sleep on this running back group.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And we also had Chase Edmonds, who's now kind of serving as a RB's coach, seemingly, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of like when Jensen went down for the year, he kind of shifted to an offensive line coach. Craig Carr says Bucky is going to be, I wouldn't say so. Craig Carr, I think, as we said, I think Rashad White still gets majority of the carries, majority of the touches. And then I think Bucky Irvin compliments him nicely as a backup, but Rashad White's touches aren't going anywhere, and Bucky is not going to be the primary running back anytime soon, my friend. But I do like where we stand. As those of you joining, we are live on Buccateers. Buck what you heard. We're trying to bring Gene in, looking for Gene, but not really quite sure what's going on there. But we will be joined again by Gene here in a little bit. Craig Carr says, thoughts on McMillan? It feels like he could have had 3 touchdowns if not for the drop and PI in the end zone. I think McMillan played a hell of a rookie game. I think the ceiling is the Sears Tower, the Willis Tower, the ultimate high tops for McMillan. And I think the floor is pretty high as well. If you remember in college, when McMillan was in Washington, he had very good wide receivers there as well. Polk was there. Dunze was there. They had Michael Penix. So kind of hard to tell how the cake was sliced. But J-Lo, to me, before McMillan suffered a college injury, I think that McMillan was probably the up-and-comer there of the group, the best of the group.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, this kid's something special. I mean, if you watch his highlight at Washington, he really lit it up, especially in the playoff games. To me, he was definitely another wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 at best, at Washington. And like I said, Life's just hitting home run with these pits, man. McMullen, and don't sleep on Trey Palmer. Palmer had a couple grabs too. He made a couple mistakes on the false starts. But for the most part, him and McMullen are going to be a good little, switch in and out, number 3 receiver. You can never not have too many receivers on that end. But back to McMillan, I mean, he had that one drop, but he made up for it on that deep route, man. I mean, this kid, like I said, Cohen's going to make this whole receiving group as well look really good on offense. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I like what, he's putting together for all this great group of receivers, bats, and then helping Baker out too. Baker's building confidence in these guys.
Exactly. And Christopher Cole, our guys joining us. Evening, fellas. Evening to you, Christopher. Krillin's in the house checking in as well. BB King says White said he gave. I didn't see that White said that, but again, they switch off every 3 drives. So White gets 2, Irving gets 1, and then J-Lo, the game gets out of hand a little bit. You put in the rookies, the young guys to compete, to play hard, to play tough, to play the game. So Lucas says McMillan is way better than Palmer. It's not close. 2 totally different types of wide receivers, not even very comparable. I do think McMillan is the clear-cut third. It's been labeled as such. He's been playing as such. He played more snaps than Godwin and Evans, J-Lo. He certainly played more snaps than Palmer. But at the end of the day, J-Lo, Palmer is going to have his time to shine in this offense as well. But as we continue to say, they're not competing for snaps. They're not competing on the depth chart. J-Lo, what say you? They're two totally different wide receivers who are going to have different roles throughout the year. And yes, we all know Palmer is a step behind McMillan, but that's not to say Palmer will not outshine McMillan at times, because he will absolutely will in the year.
It just opens the playbook more, I say. It'll give Palmer a chance to be more on the outside, on the outside deep threat when you got McMillan who can play in the slot really well. Hey, he's back. And then, for the most part, to me, this team's competing together. The competition's pretty much over. And now it's all about competing together as a team. Like, back to Rashad White and Bucky Irving, they got a good relationship in the running back room, helping each other out. And then same thing with McMullen, Palmer, Evans, and Godwin. There's no more, crying for the ball or anything. They're competing as a team, and that's what I like about it, the continuity of that. You want these players to come together and play together. Because like you said, the competition in the preseason's over, and now it's time to get it in gear, and these guys are competing, together to win a championship.
Gene, thoughts on McMillan and Palmer? Bud also says depends on matchups. Great point, Bud. And to build off that, Palmer he's his own worst enemy at times. Sometimes he draws flags just by a boneheaded mistake. All players do it. And sometimes, he lets his emotions get the best of him. But however, as Bud said, as we allude to, he'll still get his. He's going to feast as well. Real quick, Emily says, hi, everyone. Serious with this question. I think we are going to miss WJ at this Lions game coming up. We looked great last game in offense, but need Antoine Winfield on defense. Gene, what say you on Winfield and then the Palmer McMillan wide receiver scenario in general?
Well, I'm very, like I said, pleasantly surprised. And just to kind of feed off of what I was talking about earlier on in the show, I think they're young. They're going to make mistakes, but I think they're going to learn from them and continue to grow. This team has a core on the offensive line. You've got a core with your wide receiver room, and now you can plug and play some of these young players and let them thrive in this offense. I think Liam Cohen has done an amazing job calling plays. Situational football has been way better than what we've seen in past years, and I'm real happy with where the Bucs are as far as the wide receiver room. And with Antoine Winfield Jr. being out, that is going to be a huge gap right there. And it's going to require the rest of the team playing as a unit to really get in there and put some pressure on the quarterback. I really believe if everybody does their job, the Buccaneers will be just fine as far as that goes. And it's early in the season. I mentioned this before. I would rather see injuries like this early in the season and have these guys coming back in the middle of the season or towards the back end of the season if need be, just so they can be able to contribute. And just where we are right now is a little bit too early to panic. This Detroit game is going to be good. I think the Bucs learned a lot about Detroit from last year, and basically you're looking at two of the same teams from the playoffs, so it's going to be a good game, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good benchmark to see where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. And the players that get to come in and sub for Antoine Winfield Jr., keep in mind, folks, these guys are getting needed game time experience. That's going to come up later on during the season, and they will be called upon to utilize some of that game time experience. So I know it's a bad thing right now because we love Antoine Winfield Jr., but at the same time, it's giving some of your other players that really need those needed reps. And I think they'll definitely be needed as the Bucs make a push to the playoffs.
Gene, I think you hit a couple of really good points there. Number one, injury now rather than later. I brought that up at the beginning, when you were in and out, and I was going to let you take the floor on that because you do repeat that so much. And I do agree with you 100,000%. If we are going to face these type of injuries at all throughout the season, A, you never want to deal with them. But B, they're inevitable. It's football. It's coming to some. It's like a shark in the ocean. You don't know who it might bite, but it's going to bite eventually. And it just so happened to be Winfield's turn, sadly. But at the end of the day, Not a knock on Winfield at all, but he has been banged up a little bit from time to time. But when he gets banged up, it's only for 1 to 3 games, and it's a good recovery time for the guy. It's not like he's going to be shelved forever. So, as Gene said, if it's going to happen at all, let it happen now, opposed to week 18, right before the playoffs. And like Mike Evans that one year when he went down right before the playoffs, remember that? And then we were able to, we skated by and whatever, but man, that scared the crap out of me right before the playoffs. It was like, Mike Evans is down. Right now, it's like, yeah, Winfield's down. And then, Gene, you brought up a good point. You got guys like Christian Isian, who's going to benefit from getting snaps. And these might be and the thing is, he's versatile. He got snaps at corner last week. Coach Todd Bowles said, hey, maybe this week it's his turn at safety. You got Kavion Merriweather, the second-year safety. He was inactive this past week, but likely he'll be active if Winfield can't go. He'll get those much-needed snaps. You have Rashad Wisdom on the practice squad, who looked pretty good in preseason games in limited action. He could be an active roster call-up. We brought back cornerback Keenan Isaac today. He'll be called up for corner. Funderburk will be back this week. To Gene's point, these are all rookies or second-year guys. All of them undrafted. Merriweather, Isium, Wisdom, Funderburk, all undrafted free agents from this year or last year. You want these guys to get reps before the playoffs. Again, Super Bowl run, knock on wood, holding my breath. Nothing against Javon Hagan, our safety, undrafted that year from Ohio. Love the kid. Had him on a podcast, brought him on. But his first action was pretty much the damn playoffs that year, and he held his own.
Right.
But, Gene, that's not quite what you want to see. A UDFA's first game time is the playoffs or something.
Yeah, I think this is ideal right now. Not a lot of pressure, not a lot of expectations, but just go in and do your job and execute plays. That's what it all comes down to.
Exactly right. J-Lo, you take this one. Servace Dennis looks like a great pick by Light. I love and no knock on Devin White, breath of fresh air. Yeah, absolutely. We could have a whole special on the downfall of Devin White and what he's even continuing to do to himself right now. So we'll leave that name out of it for now. But J-Lo, I will say, between Servace, between J.J. Russell, between K.J. Britt, it is nice seeing these young pups earning their keep.
I mean, absolutely. Light's nailed a lot of draft picks the last 2 to 3 seasons, off season. So,
not only draft picks, but UDFAs as well.
Yes. My apologies. UDFA,
no, not just adding on. No apology needed.
But anyway, I mean, Servace Dennis, hopefully he can stay healthy. I think he'll be a great rotational guy with KJ Brick. I saw what Bowles was doing, rotating him in and out, which I like. That way you keep KJ Brick fresh, and you get Dennis the experience he needs, because sooner or later, Levante's time is going to be called upon where, he's ready to retire in the next couple of seasons probably, and then Dennis will be ready to go and he'll get it going. But that's another discussion. But anyway, he looked good out there. I'm getting more confident in him. I mean, I'm getting more confident in some of these, butt players. I feel like they're going to show up, and Dennis could be one of those guys where he's a home run hit pick.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Gene, let's focus back to the offense now. I heard Todd Bowles too today and Jason Light. For those that don't know, I'm sure many of you know, especially if you live in Tampa, but every Monday and Tuesday on WDAE at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern time, they have a 1-hour segment on Mondays where Casey Phillips sits down with the Bucs player to recap the game. And then on Tuesdays, they have a 1-hour segment where the first half of the show is Todd Bowles, and the second half of the show is a random, cabinet position guy or coaching guy. So it could be Jason Light, John Spytek, anybody, Liam Cohen, and so forth. This week was awesome. Yesterday, and by the way, new co-host too. In years past, they had Ellie Marpet paired with Casey Phillips. Nothing against Ellie Marpet, but this year we have Cam Bright. Very excited for that. Very excited to get a fresh breath of voice in there. Again, I love Ellie, but always nice to get new sets. So yesterday, Baker was on. Today, it was Bowles and Light. Highly recommend if you do miss it. But Jason Light said the same thing Craig Carr is saying, as did Todd Bowles, Gene. We are very blessed to have a great group of wide receivers that never complain about touches. Todd Bowles said that today. He goes, man, between Godwin and Evans, we're lucky to have these guys. A, they're smart football players. B, they make plays. C, they don't cry. How important is it, Gene, that Jason Light, or maybe it's just these guys, and they are both great guys, but between the front office, the coaching staff, and both of these wide receivers, none of them ever really complained about anything. Their touches, their contracts, this and that.
I think it comes back to the culture here. And that's huge. I mean, you don't have any divas. The last diva is in Philadelphia now. And just since then, everybody's comfortable. That game, everybody looked comfortable. Regardless of what happened, somebody gave up a big play. They still looked comfortable. They were able to come in and do what they needed to do. And again, that's going to be huge. I think culture and who you have some veterans in here. You have some players that are younger, and they've got a really nice mix. And nobody thinks they're above anybody else. They all play as a team. And I think that all starts with Baker Mayfield. And I never thought I would say this, but it's crazy that we have a quarterback that comes in and he's able to rally everybody, whether it's offense or defense. There was one play, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but there were defensive players coming out congratulating Baker Mayfield on a play that he made. And I don't remember, I'm trying to think. I remember the reverse where you'd see a quarterback come out and congratulate defensive players, but it's very rarely that you would see players on the defensive side of the ball coming out congratulating a quarterback. So I think Baker Mayfield is a very integral part in the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year.
He definitely does. And Gene, another great point. I know you're always full of him, but today it's like, what the fuck? You keep punching him out here. Jason Light mentioned that today as well. He goes, I go out to eat or I'll run an errand for the wife. I think it's funny he specifically mentioned running an errand for his wife. What a guy there. But he goes, anytime I run an errand for my wife or we're at dinner or something, people ask me, he goes, don't get me wrong. They'll ask about Evans and Godwin and Vita and those guys. But he's like, people ask me about Baker. Hey, how's Baker doing? I think Baker has a sense of relatability to everybody. I think Jason Light summed it up perfectly today. Baker Mayfield's the type of guy who would want to have a beer with anybody. He truly seems like that guy who doesn't.
Well, I think Jason Light's the same way. Those two guys, you just want to have a beer with them.
Yeah. And throw Todd Bowles in there at this point, too. I think Todd Bowles is the guy who's proven, hey, whether you're a veteran, a rookie, whether you're offense, defense, I don't play favorites, man. And, at first, I think a lot of people were skeptical. Oh, my God, we promoted Bowles. He wasn't great with the Jets, yada, 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 this and that. One guy this all points back to, Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians knew exactly who Todd Bowles is. And wow, did Bruce Arians get ripped for giving the job to him over Byron Leftwich at first? Thank gosh he did. Thank goodness he did. I could not imagine this team. Well, who knows if
Lord
Byron
would be there. Hey, I think the Jags dodged a bullet too. Well, we got stuck with the bullet, but yeah. It's a bad situation. And, folks, you have to kind of take a step back at times. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And I can't stress that enough. When you think you know something about, the team or a play or a player or a contract, you never know what's going on, what's being negotiated, what's being talked about behind closed doors. And I've learned, just over the years, especially with this new front office, that you kind of have to take a step back and let them do their thing. And if you want to complain about it, you complain about it post-mortem, wait till it's all done. And then you put in your complaints. Why didn't they do this, this, and this? But if you're complaining at the time they make a move, you normally 9 times out of 10, you're going to look like an ass when they finally make the move and the move works out. A la Vita Vea. That's one of the big ones that kind of sticks out to me, where they wanted a lot of fans wanted somebody else, but it didn't work out. But just seriously, just let it play out. Let's see what happens. And you got to trust the process. I don't think that this organization over the past 5 years has given anybody a reason to doubt them.
Yeah, Gene, and you're getting called out here. Why couldn't it have been Gene instead? Hey, I'm sure Gene wishes it was himself instead of Winfield, you know? Hey, I wish it was myself instead of Winfield. Come on now, let's go. Emily, you crack me up. I do want to bring up a couple other things. Chase McLaughlin, I seen somebody give him love. If you follow me on Twitter, we're going with Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter at Tampa Tones, TampaTones, you know I'm very, very vocal, and I speak very nicely about Chase McLaughlin. I gave him 4 shout outs on Twitter on Sunday alone. So I'm with you, Jonas. We're talking about him. I'm talking about him. I literally tweeted after every field goal, so I think you make up a great point. Chase McLaughlin, who was brought back for a lot of money this offseason at the kicking position, is back to regular season form. He had a blip in preseason, not worried about that. Maybe about Camarda. We'll talk about Camarda in a bit, but he didn't have that great of a one punt. Thank God it was just one punt. But Jayla, what say you, Chase McLaughlin? I mean, he's incredible, man. And this is a guy of confidence in whether it's 29 yards or 59 yards. I think we're in good hands, Jayla.
Oh yeah, thank goodness. He was clutch on Sunday. He looked like his normal self, for the most part. Hopefully he stays that way, which I think he will. And he just Mr. Clutch, man. He knows the long field goals when we need it to get a lead or to get back in the game. And I'm very thankful that we have a kicker.
Yeah, because that's something like Gene said earlier, QBs reading defenses outside of Tom Brady for the Bucs is hard to come by. Well, kickers have pretty much been just as hard to come by. We've had Shane Andrews, Nick Folk, Lawrence Tynes. I don't really want to bring up anymore. Elmo Nico.
Just real quick before we jump on to something else. These 2 kickers, Chase McLaughlin and I'm drawing a blank. This is
Camarda.
Horrible. No, this is the kicker, punter. Kicker.
On Washington?
No, so Ryan Suckup.
Oh,
so
Suckup.
Ryan Suckup and Chase McLaughlin made Bucs fans forget there was ever a kicking issues in Tampa, just by how consistent they've been. And that's something that I can remember being on the edge of my seat every time a kicker would come out onto the field pre-Ryan Suckup. And I know you guys can too. And just how, I mean, you were like 50-50 on whether you think they were going to make it or not. And it's like the worst feeling in the world. But to have these kickers come in and ease your mind, and you just kind of sit back and it gives you a chance to enjoy the game a whole lot more.
Yeah, and good shout out to Suckup there. And it's not like Suckup ever lost his job because he was bad. We just needed to, the way the NFL's expanding and scoring, we just needed to add 5 to 10 more yards. Nothing against Suckup. He did great for us. So I think Gene's right between those two. Another good point Gene brought up was Baker and how favorable he is. I mean, he could have surely made more on the open market. I know $30 million a year is still a disgusting amount of money, but for a quarterback in the National Football League in 2024, that's a damn bargain. The fact we got Baker at $38 million a year is a damn bargain. But we are joined by El Monito, Richard T, Jonas, Nestor. The list goes on and on. Bud says CD3 had a good game. He had his typical CD3 game. Pretty good coverage, got banged up, and dropped interceptions, Gene. That's pretty much Carlton in a nutshell.
Again, we'll wait to see how the season plays out. But, I always say the best ability is availability. And, with this guy, I love his play. But at the same time, I think that if Tampa can get their secondary healthy, I don't see Tampa really, being affected by a lot of these moves. And I think it was a wise move to move Carlton Davis when they did. I think it would have been a bigger challenge trying to do something with him this year.
And I agree. At first, initially, like any, true fan is of a player, because I like Carlton Davis a lot, I was a little drawn back and upset. But then when I found out a return, I'm like, wait a minute, we got multiple draft picks for a guy entering the last year of his contract
That's what you want to do. If you know that if you're going to move on from him, that's what you want to do. You want to set yourself up to, get something out of it.
And I always bring up Shohei Ohtani. The Angels had the best talent in baseball history. And you know what they could have got for him? A king's ransom. What happens? They toyed with their emotions, and they got zilch for him. If the Bucs had Carlton Davis this year, I'm sure he would have played 10 to 14 games, been pretty good, helped out a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're getting dollar on the pennies. Yes, I know it's the other way around, but I think we got a lot of value for something who might not have value for much longer. And
100%.
that's just the way the National Football League works. Nice shirt, Gene, but shouldn't it be? Speaking of this, I'm going to ask Gene quick, and then we'll move to J-Lo on the next question. But Gene, Thursday, Sunday, Monday are the typical game slots. Out of Victory Fridays, Victory Mondays, or Victory Tuesdays, which of the three are your favorite?
Victory Monday, especially if Atlanta loses and the Bucs win. I can rock my shirt, it just kind of fits in, I'm just happy to talk football with you guys. I love Mondays, and Mondays are a lot of fun because you're still riding the high or riding the lows from the previous day, and it just makes for entertaining banter when you're getting in here. Tuesday, you have a chance to kind of wind down and get ready for the next game, the upcoming game. But just getting to talk football with you guys is great. So either way is good with me.
And we will be live on some Mondays, including Monday nights when the Bucs do play. They have 2 Monday night games this year, so we're going to be bringing the noise to you guys on those game nights. I'll be leading the way on one. Gene, if you're around, I'll need you to lead the way on the Chiefs-Bucs one, because unless you're at the game too, I know you've rumored.
Yeah, I've been really thinking about it, so we'll see.
Maybe J-Lo could take over.
J-Lo, there we go. J-Lo, the host, man, that would be great.
We taking over.
J-Lo, now that you're murmuring back there, I do want to get your murmur on Keenan Isaac. We brought him back today. Familiar face. Carolina keeps taking our guys and releasing him. They brought in Devin Tompkins. They got rid of Devin Tompkins. They brought in John Wolford. They got rid of John Wolford. They brought in Keenan Isaac. They got rid of Keenan Isaac. J-Lo, thoughts on Keenan Isaac coming back to the Bucs?
He's probably got a breath of fresh air after watching the beating Carolina took. He's probably like, oh, thank God I got away from that team. But, yeah, for the most part, familiarity with the defense. I think he had a strong preseason. I'm comfortable with it. If he has to step in Sunday in for Zion McCollum, I'm all for it because, like I said, familiarity with the defense, pretty good cover guy, decent tackler. Like I said, you can never have enough, experience when it comes to Tubble's defense. And I'm really interested to see him and Thunderbird step in there, as Zion can't go. But we'll wait and see on that.
Yeah, Jonas, I hope they have a beer with you. Hit me up that week. We'll be in Kansas City that Monday, so whether it's before the game, at the game, hit us up. We'll get you a beer. I'll buy you a beer if you hit me up. Cleve and me, well, maybe not in the stadium, maybe outside the stadium because, no, I'm kidding. This damn in-price beer stadium is crazy. Good Bucs win, just got done with Wrestling Pod. Yeah, more wrestling tonight, NXT. Then AEW tomorrow. I was at AEW this past weekend, Gene. I don't know if you caught any of that, but very good Saturday show. And, them and the Bucs made this a very good weekend.
That you can't go wrong there. I'm just happy that you're one of the few open-minded people that can go to any of the promotions and check them out. So major props to you, my friend.
Hey, look at this. We had Joey saying he wishes he had McLaughlin over Matt Gay right now. J-Lo, thoughts on that? Matt Gay, highest paid kicker in the league. Joey, a Colts guy, says, I'm used to seeing Chase, and right now I'd rather have me a little Chase.
Matt Gay is a hit or miss. Highest kicker, sure as hell ain't looking like it. It's looking like, he's just going to get a nice paycheck, and he'll probably be out the door at the end of the season, or maybe during the season if he keeps it up. For the most part.
4 years and 1 game now, Richard. Don't forget that little, what would that be decimal-wise? 4.07 we'll go with. 4.07 years of kicking has been consistent now. But I think Gene makes a great point. Ryan Suckup, he was so detrimental to this team as well. But speaking of detrimental, this coming Sunday, we're having 2 friends of the Buck What You Heard and Buccateers podcast potentially active and on that field at once between Brewer, between Thunderbird. Gene, and we also spoke to Latrell Jones. Hopefully he's back on the practice squad or active one of these days. But Gene, Funderburk, Brewer, two incredible guys on and off the field. We got to talk to these guys and know
Yeah.
these guys a little bit better. This is exciting for us.
It really is, man. I mean, did you see the hit that CJ Brewer got?
Yes.
Lit
And
him
it
up.
was down the field. He was hustling.
Lit him up. So, I'm happy that's what you want right there. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. And again, this is where you come in and you make the most of your opportunities to get on the field. This leads to more opportunities of being on the field. And trust me, Todd Bowles is a guy that wants competition. He wants the best of the best on the field. And we saw so much favorites with pre-Arians. We saw people that really had no business being on the field that were on the field. And we've seen that for years past. And there really wasn't that competition. So you really didn't have the best of the best on the field. But this organization from top to bottom, what we've been seeing, how they've been bringing players in, players that are versatile, playing more than one position. You can line up in the slot, or you can line up as a receiver, or you could play special teams, but on the same point, you could play offense somewhere. I mean, just not being stuck playing in one position, but being versatile and really contributing to the team has been very important. So I really feel like Funderburk and CJ Brewer, we're going to see more of them, and I feel like they are going to contribute to this team as they make that push to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And Richard says, loved Monday Night Raw on Johnny G, tribute Johnny Hockey, obviously lost his life way too young. These hockey guys just, I mean, that's how crazy life is. And that's why everybody needs to enjoy it, because 1 minute you're living life, the next minute you think you're going to your sister's wedding and you're damn hit by a drunk driver, and you're not here anymore. And after the Scotty Scheffler, Tyreek Hill stuff, just appreciate it, man. You never know when a crazy incident's gonna happen. It may not even take your life, but it could alter your life for craziness. And neither near nor there, but yeah, Johnny Hockey, they call them. Just a terrible tragedy, gone way too soon, and just totally crazy stuff. But thank you, Raw, for making a good tribute for him. If you guys are Mr. Light or Coach Bowles, would you make a call to Patrick? Well, you still got a couple good corners, because you got Xavier Howard, you got Patrick Peterson, you got a couple other guys. But Gene, me personally, and then we'll spin it off to you, I would stand pat and continue to bring in these younger guys. I like bringing back a Keenan Isaac. I like bringing up a Tyreek Funderburk. To me, the J.C. Jacksons, Patrick Peterson, Xavier Howards of the world, those are worst case scenario signings like Richard Sherman a few years ago. Say we go out there this Sunday and it's like, all right, Dean drops, Funderburk drops, McCollum can't get healthy, Hayes can't get healthy. Say we're down to Izzy and Tyre Thomas. Yeah, then maybe, all right, we'll make a call to one of these guys. But right now, Gene, I like giving the young guys the opportunity. It's a young man's world here.
I totally agree with you. And when you look at this team, and they've gone out and drafted for just such an occasion. Prior to, again, I hate to keep going back, but history is history. Going back prior to Jason Light, everybody's like, "Oh, we got to get this guy in. We got to bring Darrelle Revis in. We got to bring this guy in. We got to bring this guy in." It wasn't as if you had enough homegrown talent, enough drafted talent to fill in those slots. I really believe what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have right now on defense, from the front end to the back end, they should be fine until a lot of these guys get healthy and get back. Patrick Peterson, to me, is very, I think he's past his prime. Xavier, I'm not 100% sold on him. I would rather roll with the guys that you brought to the dance, and let's see what they can do.
Yeah, look at Izzian. And Jonas mentions Izzian right now. He got thrown into the fire. He played incredible football. And you got to see what these guys can do. You build up these guys, you keep them around on cheap deals until they're free agents, and that's how you build a winning football team. Youth, like Bud says, money versus return. You're paying a guy like Keenan Isaac again, he's still making nice money, but a lot different than what you'd pay a Patrick Peterson. And what's the production? I think Isaac probably gives you some better cornerback play in 2024. J-Lo, speaking of 2024, we are live on the Buccateers here in week 2 of the 2024 football season. Buck What You Heard simulcasting as well, whether you're watching on Buck What You Heard or Buccateers. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on. You'll never miss Gene or myself then, or Buccateers or Buck What You Heard. Speaking of never miss, we never miss Bucs games. This week we are in Detroit, and we're going to talk a little bit about this game upcoming here now. J-Lo, Detroit, they look decent on Sunday night. They didn't look great to me. They didn't look like world beaters to me. I think the Bucs could actually hang in there and beat them this Sunday, even banged up a little bit. But J-Lo, thoughts on this upcoming week's matchup with the Lions and how you feeling heading into it?
I'm feeling pretty confident that we can go toe-to-toe with them. There were some things I noticed about Detroit on weakness part. I feel like their DBs, their defense can be thrown on. So I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup, Mike versus Carlton Davis, Godwin in the slot. Let's see how they cover that up, shut down the run. It'll be interesting to watch. The only thing that concerns me is just Jared Goff, man. He's lit us up every single time we played him. And I think
Who?
he'll
I'm kidding.
I'm about to say anyway. But yeah, I think, because of these injuries we got going on in the DB room, hopefully the pass rush can get out to Goff and make his life a living hell like they did with Jaden Daniels, making him run for his life. That'll be interesting to see. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm not ready to make a score prediction yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. But I will say that I think we can go toe-to-toe and possibly get an upset in Detroit.
This is about best opening season since the Brad Johnson year. We won the Super Bowl. Detroit doesn't scare me. Gene, what say you on the status of the Bucs heading into Detroit, going into, just a town that's a vaunted football town?
I'm right here with you guys. I think this is a winnable football game. I've looked at the schedule and watched some of the games, and again, this is overreaction. This is overreaction week. This week, next week, and the week after are huge overreactions, and we'll get a better feel for what these teams are going to do by, I would say, game 6. But before that, prior to that, talking about this Detroit game, with the way the Bucs have ran the ball, I think that's going to be a huge factor. Having a true center with Graham Barton and what he's been capable of doing, and then how he's gelling with the rest of the offensive line, keeping Baker Mayfield upright, giving him time to, find his tight ends or his receivers. I think this team looks a little bit different than the Bucs team that the Detroit Lions faced last season.
Mm-hmm.
So just on those accounts right there, getting more out of Rachaad White, getting more out of Bucky Irving, and in the running game, having an offensive coordinator that can identify when to call plays. And in another tweak, we didn't really talk about this. Baker Mayfield changing plays at the line of scrimmage is huge. Other than Tom Brady, I can't think of any other. Josh Freeman didn't do it. Let's see. Nobody's really done it outside of Tom Brady. We walk up to the line of scrimmage, read the defense, and decide, you know what? This is no bueno. I see another way that I can get to him. This is what we're going to do. I hate that slipped my mind earlier, but here we are. And again, that's one of the positives that Baker is continually getting better with. And I think that, having an offensive coordinator that gives you options like that, it just totally keeps the defense on their heels even more than what we have. So again, different Baker Mayfield with the offensive coordinator he has, the running game that he has. I really feel like, this team can do some things. And, on the defensive side of the ball, if, Todd Bowles dialing up blitzes when he needs to, everybody playing in their assignments, this is a winnable game.
Very winnable game. And a couple comments. Bud says, should we call plus and ask if Fonten is okay? I think he'll be fine matchups based. This week, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets 4 catches for 40 to 50 yards and a touchdown against the Lions. It's just going to be one of those years where the Bucs have a lot of seemingly growing weapons. I mean, we can't get Godwin, Evans, McMillan, Palmer, Otten, Rashad White, Bucky Irving. There's just so many touches that could go around. I mean, look at Kansas City on Thursday. Travis Kelce barely touched the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes your guys aren't going to touch the ball. Sadly, Otten this wasn't his week to touch the ball, in my opinion.
That's okay. I mean, you've still got that many more games to go in the season. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get his time. And as long as he's ready and he's able to make plays when it's his time, who gives a damn when he goes in or what passes he catches or any of that other stuff? If he can contribute to the Bucs winning games, that's where it's at.
You know what's funny? And I just read a tweet on Twitter. Baker Mayfield's over-under in passing touchdowns this year on the whole season in 17 games, 23. He already had 4. He's down to 19. He needs to get 19 or more touchdowns in the final 16 games of the season. Gene, that's a little insulting from Vegas. And as Richard said, if Bucs go into Detroit and beat the Lions, media will still focus on the Lions. By the way, I will be on.
You know what? I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. Let that be the narrative throughout the whole season. People lost because they weren't ready for the Bucs. Let that be the narrative. Not that the Bucs have a good team, they have a good quarterback. That should never be I don't never want that to be the narrative. If they're looking down on us, talking down on this team, I'm good with it. Let them do it.
I second that, Gene.
I couldn't agree more. I like when the media hates us. I like when
me
these
too.
people
Last year, what do you think, Jason? How do you think Jason Light felt sticking it to that writer that had the Bucs in last place or whatever? He said, when he identified him, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're the guy that wrote that." That's the beauty of it. That's what you want. You want your players and your team to go out and do the talking for you. I don't care about what the 4-letter network or the 3-letter network or the 1-letter net, whatever these scumbags are. I don't watch them. I watch podcasts anyway. I watch local podcasts. So I could care less what they think. And I strongly believe that the Bucs, if they stay on this trajectory, they're gonna shock a lot of people this year.
Yeah, unless it's a game or a match or a fight that I need to watch on ESPN, I really don't tune into that.
You don't need to.
Exactly. You have so much more. And by the way, I can't even right now anyways with DirecTV, but that's a whole different story anyways. So,
dude, get with me after the show. I'll let you on to some secrets.
Definitely. And we love our secrets, but Lions don't have anyone. I will say DJ Reader is pretty good, and obviously Aiden Hutchinson. So, yeah, I know they don't have a tandem like a Payne and Allen, but between Reader and Hutchinson, they still got some guys that can feast up front. So we can't overlook that. That's for sure. Olivia in the house. Hey. How we doing, Olive?
What's up, Liv?
Olive.
Welcome back into the Buccateers. As always, we appreciate that. J-Lo, what say you on Detroit and the media not giving us love? I like not being loved by the media. Pop's texting the show. He's got Bucs beating Detroit by 7. Thoughts on that, J-Lo?
Hey, I like that confidence, Pops. But yeah.
He says 31-24, Bucs by 7.
Okay, in the 30s. Okay, I like it. I can get behind that. But I will say, I agree with Gene. Let the media do what they want to do. F ESPN, F NFL Network. I don't give a damn about what they think at this point. As far as that writer goes, that wants to put us last place in the division. Oh, Atlanta's going to win the division. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, guess what, motherfucker? Now the Bucs are on top of the division. How about that?
And this clown last year thought he was funny or, went out of his way. And I don't know, Jason Light seen him in person, though, and said, hey, my man, how about that? I printed it, used it as bulletin board material. Speaking of bulletin board material, tomorrow I'll be on a great Lions podcast tomorrow night. I'm not sure if the episode will be up tomorrow or Thursday, but everybody make sure to check out the Talking Grit Detroit Lions podcast. I'll be hopping on there tomorrow talking with the fellas, and then they're going to be joining us Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, the two gentlemen, or at least one of them from the Talking Grit Detroit Lions podcast as well.
You know what? A good name for a Lions podcast, Why You Always Lying.
Or the bite in kneecaps for Dan Campbell, something like that. Gene, do you plan on going live on Thursday, brother? Last week was great with Kenny Barrett.
Yeah, I will be live, and I'm hoping to get one of the or all of the Buccateers on there. I'd love to get you, Stunner, if I can get. I know Stunner's in the midst of things, and he's like out of pocket right now, but just
he's hibernating like a bear or something.
No, I'd like to get you guys on. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and just kind of talking about what the keys to victory you're going to be.
Yeah, the keys to, as JC Allen calls it, the keys to cannon fire or something like that. But keys to victory on the Buccateers, Buck, what you heard Thursday. I'd love to be on, chat it up with you guys about that. And it's really going to be an incredible game. Again, Detroit cost us our playoffs last year, cost us our beloved to some creamsicle return. So that'll be interesting. But again, this week's scheduled tonight, obviously. Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Buck What You Heard Takeover will be live. Then Saturday for our Saturday Showdown Football Kickoff, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And then, like I said, some Mondays sprinkled in the future as well here on the Buccateers. We're hoping to get Gator on. Shout out to Coach Gator and co. Florida International pounded their opponents this week. They were 4-point underdogs, Florida International.
They beat the brakes off of them.
They beat the brakes off of him, and we hope that we could get Gator on this week. And, they didn't lose to Indiana too bad week one either, but Central Michigan, 52-16 this past week. And my goodness.
I mean, goodness.
How about Florida State not winning a football game either? I think Florida State's the only team that hasn't won a football game yet.
Florida and sadly Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois was crazy as well, guys. Could you believe that? That's the world of football we live in, fellas. But speaking of,
I'm sending you $10. I'm sending you $10 so we can make some big daddy bets here, and I'm dipping my toe in the arena here.
Let's go. We're gonna make some daddy hacks and win some daddy money. That's for sure. We'll call it daddy hacks.
Exactly.
For our daddy hacks, and also our OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding. We don't have an OnlyFans.
What?
No, Dev.
Link in the bio.
Yeah, we'll leave the link in the bio. Might cost you a couple bucks, but regardless, it'll be in there. Dev from Command This Podcast, friend of the shows, they were on last week. Great old who, they're funny as hell. He was like, man, catch me on OnlyFans. I'm Husky Muscle, he said his name was.
Classic Deb, bro. That dude never fails.
They were very nice, though. They reached out to us after the game, said, great game. They gave us their common courtesy. And, really it's nice when you could get fans that are relatable and likely there.
That's the podcast arena, man. It's different. It's like everybody, you can hate somebody, but then when it comes time to play them and after the game, we're all like, we're a community and everybody's got their own team, and it's cool that you can come together and talk about different teams. So I appreciate that. And I think everybody's included except for Atlanta and Dallas, but outside of that, New Orleans, you throw them in there too. But that's just how it is. And Joshua Cole Allen, what's up, man?
JC Allen, acknowledge me. Acknowledge who? Acknowledge you? Acknowledge me? Acknowledge we? Acknowledge what?
No, acknowledge he's going through a table.
An announce table or a different one?
I'm thinking the Spanish announce table would be perfect for him.
Pod can start now. No, pod can stop now. You know what? Final word now that JC's here.
Yeah, let's go home. Let's all go home. Come on, it's time.
J-Lo, any final words for the program? Anything you want to mention that we might not have gotten to yet? JC, don't worry. It has nothing to do with you being here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I will say that it's great to be 1-0 and can't wait for this weekend's game. It's going to be fun. And Tones, best of luck on the Lions pod tomorrow. Hopefully they won't be too hard on you. Bragging too much about how they dominated the last couple of games.
Hey, jumping into Lions Den always put some hair on your peach fuzz, some fuzz on your peaches. So not necessarily a bad thing. I'm looking forward to jumping in the den and fighting off those Lions, guys. Gene, any final words for the program as we gear up for Detroit and then gear up for Buck What You Heard Thursday night, 7 o'clock?
Football is back. Football is here, and you cannot help but be excited. I'm telling you, this is just a special season. Win or lose, just with the culture and the fan base and just everything that's going on with the Buccaneers. It's an exciting time to be a Buccaneer. Getting to see a future Hall of Famer in Mike Evans play, that speaks volumes. Some of the younger guys that are coming in and making a name for themselves. Let's watch this. Let's enjoy it and have fun. We're not going to have Levante David forever. Just enjoy these players that you're seeing out here because, once they're gone, sometimes they're not replaceable.
Yeah, and
but you don't have to respond to what Emily said either. So
I know I was laughing at that.
We can exclude what Emily has to say.
Please, no Fuzzy Peach. Well, that Buccateers after dark. Buck What You Heard after dark. We'll get with that. JC says Richard JC's trying to recruit our guys now. Richard,
I know. What's this all about?
Yeah, he said he's grabbing the table for us.
Good, go make me a sandwich, JC.
You can check into the SmackDown Hotel now. You can check into the Dynamite Hotel for AEW, baby. How about that? We'll show you the Dynamite.
Yeah, we'll be laughing at you when you're tapping out.
JC will be in the corner, twisted like a pretzel.
The ankle lock submission.
Trying to get out of a chokehold caused by Lord knows what or who knows what. But nonetheless, guys, Buccateers, Buck What You Heard. It's been an awesome one on a Taco Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday with Gene leading the way and Buck What You Heard leading the show. On behalf of Gene J-Lo, Bucko ACATS, Huncho Stunna. We hope to get ACAT soon, by the way. He did email me, but it is Tampa Tones saying, fire the damn cannons, touchdown Tampa Bay, run, Bucky Irvin up the gut. Fellas, always a beautiful time. Hope you guys each have a great Tuesday. We'll talk real soon, guys.
Have a good night, brother. Go Bucs.
Go
Bucs.
Go Bucs, go Bucs, go Bucs, go Bucs, go Bucs. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my